What is this one unsolved mystery in Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart? Heck, does it even need solving? Hey everyone, I'm Vivi and welcome back. The first time we visit Xerxes with Clank and Rivet, Clank specifically, he stumbles on a sheep. Even without diving into the details of who this actually is, longtime fans most probably recognized who this is. Having played the 2016 reimagining of the first PS2 game, we simply thought of Chairman Drek. Was this actually confirmed to be him in Rift Apart? Absolutely. We'll get to that in a bit. Now, one can't help but wonder, what exactly happened to this version of Drek in Rivet's dimension? He lost, yes, it can't get any clearer than that. But we still wonder why, or how he failed, especially considering how brutal he was in the first game of the franchise. Yes, the original Drek was defeated by our duo, even if so, Drek was quite a huge threat, and through that, we saw our characters go through their own ups and downs. So really, what was it like to have another Drek in Rivet's dimension? Did he have the same goal or intent? Looking at this whole series, we now count a total of 3 different Dreks, each of them being looked at to varying degrees. The first one from 2002 being the first game of the franchise, the reimagined version, 2016, and now the slightly referenced one in Rift Apart. Drek in the very first game felt darker, more threatening, compared to the 2016 version. Sure, they had the same goal, wanting to build the perfect planet by extracting pieces from other planets, but in the reimagining, he felt overshadowed by Dr. Nefarious's presence. Nefarious, who's a beloved popular villain in the franchise, just stands well on his own. Same thing with Drek as we saw in the first game. Wait a minute, Nefarious is organic in the reimagining? Yeah, they pretty much went with Nefarious prior to being a robot in that 2016 universe. Point is, it's just having 2 known villains in the movie and reimagining felt like one was being tossed to the side. Drek in this case. Since I'm mentioning the Ratchet and Clank movie, quick refresher. The 2016 reimagining is based off the movie. We had scenes from the movie pasted into the game, but the movie had a few extra scenes which weren't featured in the game. One of them being Drek's demise. He gets sent to this new Quartu, his so-called perfect planet, only to then be vaporized by the Deplanetizer, the device which was used to extract pieces from other planets. But something worth noting, Drek in this 2016 universe was turned into a sheep by Nefarious. He was sent to New Quartu as a sheep by Nefarious. The effect was temporary, so shortly after, he reverted back to his old self. So now, we know where this sheep Drek inspiration comes from looking at Rift Apart. With that in mind, if being turned into a sheep is temporary, this gives rise to the following question. If this is Drek sitting at Xerxes, why hasn't he reverted back to his old self by now? Before I say anything else, what exactly do we know of this Drek? According to the gallery, this sheep Drek has been a regular customer for 3 years, always sitting at the same spot chewing grass all day. In addition, some say they've heard it mutter frustrated nothings, others whisper that they've never seen it leave its chair. But one thing everyone knows for sure, after being sheeponated by the Emperor all those years ago, Drek has never been the same. Him remaining as a sheep is already quite a head-scratcher. But that little part about his description, the mentioning about his frustrated nothings, sure it might seem like nothing because he can't really talk and just speaks sheep language, which appears to be the case for years, but perhaps his frustration stems from him losing and not being able to achieve his goal. If his frustration was simply him being stuck in sheep form, then surely anybody out there would have figured out a way to revert him back. And you probably have noticed this already. There's blargs walking around Xerxes. Maybe they just like to hang out here, or it could be a case of some of them wanting to keep an eye on their boss, who for some reason still remains in sheep form. This could perhaps be a deeper psychological situation. Perhaps he enjoys staying like this, worry-free, just sit there and eat grass all day, not having to worry about his own personal struggles. He perhaps felt so humiliated losing to the Emperor that he simply resorted to the life of a sheep. If we think back to the reimagining, Drek hired Nefarious. In Rivet's dimension, seeing the image and power the Emperor has built for himself, it could be likely that Drek was hired by Emperor Nefarious this time around. If anything, Drek could have tried stealing technology from the Emperor, anything to make him want to build a perfect planet. Whatever resources he needed, he perhaps tried stealing it. Emperor could have completely thwarted his plans, knew what he was up to, and completely kicked him to the curb and turned him into a sheep while at it. With this Drek never reaching the status of his original counterpart. Rivet or anyone in the Resistance for that matter never even encountered him. There's another thing the original and 2016 version had in common: Clank's creation. Both universes had Clank being born within Drek's factory. If you want to go even deeper, Orvis, aka Clank's father, the leader of the Zoni, actually had something to do with it, as explained in A Crack in Time. Looking at a scene from the movie, well, it was theorized that the lightning which hit Drek's factory was Orvis, a more visual representation of Orvis's involvement. Now looking at Kit, she mentioned she was built to be a weapon, to protect the Emperor's galaxy. If we try and apply what we know about 2016 Drek in Ratchet's reimagined universe, it wouldn't be far-fetched to say the Emperor had hired Drek to handle, say, the mass production of robots, including Kit. The Emperor, on the other hand, must have kept himself busy flashing his overinflated ego to the galaxy and perhaps stealing all the credit. Yeah, the 2016 reimagining was the other way around, Nefarious being hired by Drek, for his tech and weapons expertise, but we have to realize there was no Nefarious in the first game. The first game being part of the timeline which Rift Apart falls in. Without a Nefarious in 2002, Drek still managed to have robots get manufactured. Although he didn't achieve his ultimate goal, he still managed to do all that without a mad scientist in the equation. Also, you just can't help but wonder if there's a dimension out there where Drek actually won. Imagine exploring a new Quartu, the likes of what we've seen in the movie. All in all, what do you think actually happened between Emperor Nefarious and Drek in Rivet's dimension? Was Rivet's Drek also trying to build the perfect planet? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. As always, a big thanks to my patrons for their ongoing support, and thank you for watching. My name's Vivi, and until next time,